You're listening to Exploring Anime with Friends, a JMO for Real podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all major podcasting networks. I'm your host, JMO! And today's friend is my wife and co-host. How's it going today, Sarah?
Hi, everyone. It's going great today.
Are you excited for today's episode of Exploring Anime with Friends?
Yes, I am.
And do you know what this is?
This is the 50th episode.
Yes, it is.
Yay!
It is our 50th episode. Woo! Okay, and as a result of it being the 50th episode, we're actually going to have a little special guest join us at a time during the show.
Yay!
You excited for that?
I am incredibly excited for that.
Do you think our audience is going to really appreciate and enjoy this special guest that we're having on?
I really hope so. I know at least one person will.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So for today's 50th episode, we will be exploring the first season of the Gorilla God's Go-To Girl, a romance fantasy released in April of 2025. First, we'll explore the world and the setting of Gorilla God's Go-To Girl. Then we will meet our main female lead in this romance, Sophia, and after that, we will meet our main male lead, Louis. And then we will explore some of the dark undertones that set up this first season, despite this beautiful romance blossoms. And if you like what you hear today, remember to check us out on social media. Like, subscribe, and follow. All right, ready for our special guest?
Yes, I'm so ready. Oh my goodness.
All right. How's it going today, Autumn?
Good.
Awesome. Are you excited to be part of this 50th episode installment of Exploring Anime with Friends?
Yes.
All right, so I brought you on to talk a little bit about the mythos. One of the cool things about this world is that when the teenagers come of age, when the young adults come of age, they go to get their blessing from one of the gods. They go to the temple and they choose a card and they receive that blessing from that god. Sophia, our main character, is a very shy and timid girl, isn't she, Autumn?
Yes, she sure is.
And that opening scene, she was talking about how she just wanted to be something that didn't stand out, right?
Right. It was funny in the first two scenes.
So she is hoping for something that is completely like background and what God gives her its blessing.
Yeah, she really wants to have a very quiet life, but that quiet life changes into a very active life after she gets new friends, Isaac and Eddie.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And it also becomes even more active when she is blessed by a god. Which god gives her the blessing? Which animal spirit gives her the blessing?
Gorilla God.
Oh, the gorilla god?
Yes,
Say it one more time.
Gorilla God.
Awesome, awesome. All right. So what comes along with the blessing of the gorilla god? What kind of powers did she get?
She gets to be very quick, very strong, and also a few other things.
Yeah. Like she's able to take lots of damage and she's able to make quick rescues too, right?
Yeah,
And the gorilla god gave the power to her because of her compassion, because the gorilla god's known for being very compassionate.
yes, they sure do. I learned that a few days ago.
All right. Yeah, you learn about the gorillas and kittens, right?
Yes, like literally, if you give a girl a baby kitten, they can take care of it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so what other animals do we see that blessed our main characters?
The squirrel god for Louie.
Okay, explain the squirrel god a little. What powers does it grant Louis?
He can turn into a squirrel. He can climb and stuff.
Very cool, very cool. And he has more agility. Who else?
Isaac and Eddie, cat and dog.
Okay, which one's the cat, which one's the dog?
We believe Eddie's a cat, and we believe that Isaac is the dog.
Oh, yeah, no, they definitely are the cat and the dog. And Isaac really kind of acts like a golden retriever, doesn't he?
Yes, he's very active like one.
And he's very fast, too, right?
Yes,
Very playful.
yes.
All right, and Eddie, tell us a little bit about the cat blessing.
Well, Eddie's very quiet, and plus a couple of other things that I really don't get why he's a cat.
Well, he's really good at climbing, right?
Yeah, like that one scene where he rappelled down a building with a rope.
Yeah, no, he was really good. And he's also a really good marksman, too. He's got a clear shot, and cats have really good eyes, right?
Yeah.
All right, so those are
Wait,
some...
cats have good eyesight?
Yes, they do.
Wow.
They could see in the dark all the time, right?
That could be very creepy if someone's sleeping.
All right, so we went there, too. All right, so besides that, when they come to the age, they get these special powers, and that helps to define what roles they're playing in life. As a result of the power she received, the Gorilla God is one of the two most powerful signs, isn't it, Autumn?
Yes, it sure is. For that, it mentions it in either the first or second episode.
Yes, it does. And what happens as a result of it? Where does she get recruited?
As a junior knight?
Yes, she gets recruited to the Royal Knights as a junior knight. And that's how the whole thing sets up, because the Royal Knights protect the kingdom, they protect everyone, and they protect them from the big coming threat. Everyone, thank Autumn for being a part of this.
Yay!
Hey.
Autumn.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. There's an underlying class system that is really divided, right? Talk to us a little bit about the social structure.
So for this kind of genre, there's always a little bit of a classism that's set into play. You have the monarchy, you have the rich nobles, you've got like the slightly wealthier commoners, and you got the commoners and just the hard out workers.
Honestly, I didn't even see, because we're following the nobles through most of this. Is there even a middle class? I don't think it's touched on at all.
It's an assumption, really. There's got to be someone there to fill that gap. But you definitely see, we're watching nobles, and we do see like lower class. We don't get the chance to see the middle very well.
Yeah, because like I know you said that with fantasy, it always kind of feels like it's set this way. It felt worse in this one.
I mean, that's fair. I guess the fact that we didn't actually see that middle class is kind of unnerving now that I think about it. We literally see the nobles and the people that are just living in the slums, and that's all we see.
And the amount of discrimination that goes on from a higher noble family to a lower noble family.
Oh, yeah, that's
it
for
just
sure.
makes me think, how much worse is it if it's not a noble family at all?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yeah, it's kind of it's really covered by a nice animal soul system and a beautiful budding romance. The dark undertones are very cleverly covered and disguised.
That's fair.
But if you really take the time to think about it, it's kind of terrible.
Yeah, okay, I didn't actually think about that. I didn't actually think about that way as we were watching it. But now that you mention it, it really only seems like there's two classes. I mean, it's assumed there's a working class. But even like when they go shopping and stuff, they're not shopping in the lower levels. They're shopping in the ritzy places, which are probably just owned by nobles.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But, we'll get back to that later on, because that plays a huge role in the later part of the first season. And it doesn't just spring it on you at the end. It builds up to it slowly amidst the beautiful romance that's going on.
Yes.
So let's talk about that romance a little. Sophia, we already talked about her a little bit. Expand on Sophia and who she is.
As was said, Sophia is one of the many young nobles. She really just wants to stay in the background. She does not want to get put into the limelight, but she's quite suddenly thrusted there as she receives the Gorilla God's blessing, because, as already stated again, the Gorilla God is one of the two strongest ones. So it's not like she can just like take it and hide it. The people who are giving this like test, this blessing, this whatever you want to call it, they have to notify the knights. And so she's suddenly thrown into the junior knights. And she doesn't say no. I don't even know if she tried to say no. I don't think she did. But you can't say no.
Yeah, her goal was to fail the test.
Yeah.
That was her goal, because
Just
she knew she
something small
couldn't get
and
out of it
easy.
another way. So she goes in with that, but on the way in, she meets someone and she starts to flutter a little, right?
Yes. So the cool thing about Sophia is she is a very, very big heart. She likes to help people. So along the way to getting to where the junior knights are supposed to go, she's helping someone carrying some stuff. She's obviously using her gorilla blessing, and she gets a little lost. So she sees someone on the road and she asks for directions. And this is a very nice person, of course, very handsome. And I don't necessarily want to say it was love at first sight, but at the same time,
it was crush at first sight.
It was definitely crush at first sight.
She goes on her way thinking that, I don't know if I'll see him again, and she gets into that opening area where she's testing to become a junior knight, and they're going through all sorts of physical tests and whatnot, and she finds out that he's the one in charge. Talk to us a little bit about Louis.
Louis's also a nice guy. I appreciate the guys in this series as a whole, because most of them are pretty cool. He's definitely the type that you want to look up to and want to listen to. He's got that je ne sais quoi. I'm not really sure how to say it. He's just got that thing that's like, this is a person I could work under. This is a person I could do stuff for him.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, he doesn't even know it.
No, he's oblivious to it.
He's actually very socially awkward, despite the fact that how popular he is, right?
No, that's fair. Like, all the girls are fawning over him, and he doesn't even realize it. I don't know how he misses it. He just doesn't, though.
It's really funny, because despite the fact that he's sharp and he's popular, he's super oblivious, and he maintains an innocence, actually,
Yeah.
that matches Sophia's own innocence, because the two of them have never been with anyone before. Neither one of them have ever dated. Neither one of them have ever kissed. So they're both starting from the beginning of their journeys. And
Yeah.
it's, in some ways, it's refreshing. In other ways, it's annoying.
It was adorable.
I mean, some of it suspended reality a little too much.
Yeah, I don't know how.
Some of it
Yeah,
reality
okay, that's fair.
suspended reality more than a person having gorilla powers.
Yes,
So-
that's fair. That's very fair. It was still cute and adorable, though. It was very well done.
Yeah, if you like what you're hearing today, remember to check us out on social media, like, subscribe, and follow, and watch this for yourself on Crunchyroll. Once again, that is the Gorilla Gods Go-To Girl on Crunchyroll. It doesn't start to blossom in the opening episode, but what does happen when she goes to that Royal Knight training, she starts to meet and make some other friends too, right?
Yes.
And they were mentioned before, the dog and the cat, Isaac and Eddie. Talk to us a little bit about the opening scenes where they're all kind of showing off their powers at the exam.
Oh my gosh. So first things first, Isaac is the biggest and greenest of flags ever. He's adorable, strong golden retriever vibes.
Too many green flags.
No, there's no such thing. There is no such thing. He's just so cute, just running around. And all right, so what do they actually do?
Yeah.
Isaac's fast. He's a good runner. That's his shtick for a little bit there. When you're still not quite sure what blessing he has, he excels at running. And Eddie is an excellent marksman. He can shoot
Marksman,
anything.
climber.
Yeah, that's right. He was rappelling, like Autumn had said. He's climbing around. He's definitely good at those two things.
So talk to us about Sophia in those first two challenges.
Oh my goodness. Sophia has no clue how to control her crazy gorilla strength.
No, she doesn't.
So she's just like, okay, I'm gonna do this run test thing, and I'm just gonna run just enough to be good, like just to pass the test. That's all I want to do. And she books it, and she crashes like into a wall, and like it's
Not into a wall, through a wall.
Okay, through that's I was getting there through the wall, and she's just like, I don't even know how to do this. And it was just hilarious. Like somebody's just like, no one can show her how to control it though, because she's the top. She's the one that would show people how to control their strength.
Yeah. And on the second challenge, she notices that Isaac is very
Oh my gosh, it's adorable.
nervous about climbing down. So she offers to climb down with him. And she actually saves Isaac's life in that second challenge, right?
Yeah, he starts to like fall, and she grabs him.
Yeah. Meanwhile, she falls herself because the rope breaks because
Yeah.
she's pulling on it too hard, and she lands and keeps both of them safe. She thinks that now that she has a small injury and got pulled out, that means she failed the exam. But it turns out that no, she did more than enough to pass the exam in the first part, and her, Isaac, and Eddie all become junior knights, joining Louis in their ranks.
Yay.
One thing to mention about Louis that we didn't really say before, he's also a prodigy.
Oh yeah.
He became a junior knight before he came to age, before he received
Yeah.
his blessing, his spirit animal blessing. And then he got it afterwards, and he is on track to become the youngest royal knight ever, which is kind of impressive. And it's one of those things where, as a result of it, he is given a lot of responsibilities, right?
Yep.
And one of the responsibilities that he's given ties into the blossoming of their romance. On the night of a ball on campus, there is a bomb threat, but also there is a very unaccompanied Sophia
Oh yes.
walking around. Talk to us a little bit of how they blended the romance and action together so well there.
So Sophia learns that, and this, like, she's already in the dress. It's not the dress that she should have worn, in my opinion, because she was given a beautiful dress, but she didn't want to stand out. Anyways, I digress. So Sophia's there, and she suddenly hears that in order to attend the ball, you have to be accompanied by someone. You can't
Yeah,
just show up.
Because there's a group of mean girls that were
Mean
giving
girls.
her a huge problem up to this point in time with Clarissa as their leader and everything, and they become her friends towards the end. They don't really change much, but their perspective of Sophie changes. They're still kind of
Yeah.
like preppy elitists. I guess that's
Mhm.
the good way to
Yeah,
put it.
that is a good way to put it.
That's all the stage time I feel to give to them. But
That's fair.
if you like a little mean girls angle to your romance, this definitely adds it, so you'll appreciate that.
So now Sophia's like, well, I'll have an escort. What do I do? And then enters Louis, who does not have anyone to escort. Well, isn't this convenient?
Yes, isn't it?
Absolutely beautiful. So they go in together to the shock and dismay of every female in the room.
And they're wondering who Sophia is.
Yeah,
and,
because
you
she's
know,
like a no-name that just came out of nowhere.
While he tells her that there's a bomb threat, and even greater threat to Sophia arises because she's with Louis and everything. Carissa and the Mean Girls are not happy.
No, they're not.
What do they do to her?
So the Mean Girls get together and they take this poor innocent bystander, basically, and coerce her into tricking Sophia into a compromising situation where basically Sophia ends up pretty much locked in a chest in a more like abandoned, unused section of the academy. And she's kind of just for a minute content just staying there. She's kind of a little depressed. She's coming down hard on herself, but then she starts hearing some commotion.
Well, even before she starts hearing the commotion, she's out of the box and she's like, I don't want to get that one girl in trouble with the Mean Girls, so I'm just going to wait this out and everything. And she's explaining this to a squirrel that's there.
Oh, yes, a cute little squirrel.
Because she's talking to the squirrel, and this squirrel she shared food with before, and she's just being very like kind and compassionate to it, really sweet to it and everything, because it's a listening ear to her. And she starts talking about, frankly, she professes her love to Louis without even realizing that he's the squirrel, creating a very awkward situation in the romance, because she's like, oh no, I think I'm falling for him.
It's like the whole like little speech she gives the squirrel. It's so cute.
It really is.
It's just adorable.
And it creates tension for like an episode period because Louis doesn't know how to respond because...
Oh man, his social awkwardness really kicks it and ramps it up.
Yeah, clearly she professed her love to Louis, but she didn't know Louis was there.
Yeah.
And then's when the sounds start happening.
So she starts hearing some commotion, some people talking, and she can, like, you know how you can kind of tell when people are talking not so great?
Yeah.
She follows after them, and the squirrel stays with her.
Yep.
So they go upstairs and they discover these two very unsavory looking people. And it does take a moment or two, but she does subdue them.
A moment or two. They come at her with daggers. She picks up a mannequin and just wails on them with her powers.
That's very fair. She has them tied up, and the squirrel is like motioning to Sophia and points out the bomb. And so now Sophia's like, this is real. This is real. Like this. Like, they were just chalking it up to some kind of, like, fake news kind of thing. But no, there's a bomb. And it's gonna explode. And there's a ticking timer and everything. So she grabs the bomb and just, like, runs with it. There's a tree that she had been leaning on. And she's just holding it tight. And her whole goal is to just take that impact. Very Captain America-esque. She's willing to sacrifice herself and just try to, like, hold that bomb as close as she can. And the squirrel is trying so hard to, like, push the hand on the clock back and just make it so it doesn't go off. And something, I don't remember exactly what, triggers a little thought in Sophia's head that
the squirrel looks up at the sky when the fireworks are going off.
The fireworks are going off, and the squirrel looks up at the sky, and Sophia looks up at the sky, and she, like, punts the bomb.
Yeah, no.
It was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And yeah, sure enough, no, that thing explodes. It's a pretty big explosion. I don't know what would have happened if she would have actually tried to take in that bomb. I don't think she would have lived, to be honest, even with the Gorilla God's blessing. And she saves the day.
Yeah, and all throughout this, there are these little threats that keep on arising.
Yeah.
And you find out that the reason why they're arising is because of a group called Daybreak.
Daybreak.
An anti-monarchy establishment. What is it that made the man who founded Daybreak?
So you meet Leohart that night. He also didn't have an escort, and Carissa is the one that he goes in with. And eventually, through the series, you finally get his background. He is the head of Daybreak. He originally was from the other side of the wall separating the nobles from everyone else. And by everyone else, I mean the street rats, the urchins, the ones that don't have the money, everyone else. And actually, very briefly, while we were watching it, kind of reminded me of Escride. How you had the city and the wall, and then everyone else just trying to survive. So eventually, a noble, for whatever reason, takes notice of him. This noble has been giving food, dropping off food once in a while, takes notice of Leohart, and adopts him, basically, and gets him the test, the blessing, and should I say what he's blessed with, or?
He's blessed with one of the top 2 combat classes. Sophia has the Gorilla God, and he has the Leopard God.
And this is how I learned that Gorilla's, like, only natural predator is a friggin' leopard. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's misleading though. Like it's
it's true, but like, it's not like they're gonna like.
they can only take out baby gorillas.
Yeah, well,
They hunt baby gorillas.
Yeah, they don't really go after the big ones. But this is how I learned this. Public schooling failed me. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, so his whole thing was he wanted to go back and tell his friends because he had some strong friends in that horrible place that he grew up in. But when he goes back, it's practically decimated.
Well, it is because instead of giving the food every week like they said they would in return for him leaving the slums, they decided they were just going to raid the slums.
Yeah.
And make it to where the exchange didn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
So, like, you say it reminds you of Escride, and I'm kind of like, honestly, with how beautiful the romance is and how nice the animal system is and how naive and innocent most of our main characters are, it really does a great job at disguising that this is one of the most despicable, horrid, noble versus lower class scenarios that I've seen anywhere in fiction.
That's fair.
Outside of, like, creating, human food. What, Demolition Man or what?
I thought you were going for Soylent Green.
Soylent Green. There we go. Yeah,
Or recycled food.
outside of turning the poor into Soylent Green, right?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's fair. I've read some pretty crazy ones. I'm a Webtoons follower. There's some, if you want me to regale you, there's one that probably meets that, but very few touch on that.
Yeah, it's funny though because it doesn't, like, you don't realize it as you're watching it because of how sweet and innocent it all appears.
Oh yeah.
Because you have beautiful moments like that cabin scene where
absolutely.
Where Sophia saves Eddie's life as he's fallen off a cliff and she falls off of it herself and Louis jumps over to rescue her.
Like without thought.
So it's one of those things where you have that beautiful moment in that cabin scene where they're about to share their first kiss, where they both realize that, they fell in love and that there's the big crush and everything. And it's like, wow, yeah, no, I want to be with you. So you have all those sweet and tender moments underlined by the fact that Daybreak is a very real threat and that it was 100% created by the tyranny of the monarchy. Right?
Well, the tyranny of the nobles.
By the
we
tyranny.
don't know anything about the monarchy.
So it's, yeah, I don't know what to say other than I wish we maybe had a few more episodes to dive a little more into the underbelly.
I mean, I thought it tied in nice, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like, they had to weave it a little bit, though, yeah.
But oddly enough, it actually weaved really well. They brought it in and out seamlessly. It's just, they left it to the watcher to realize how twisted the world actually was.
Yeah.
All right, so anything that you want to say about the Guerrilla Gods Go-To Girl in conclusion?
I thought it was cute and adorable, and I was honestly hooked on the first episode. Shout out to that guy who cuts the hair. He's a great character. I have no clue what his name is. I don't even know if his name is mentioned. He's very aggressive, but it was great. It was a great romance. I really enjoyed the blessing system, the randomness that it could have, like from Louis turning into a squirrel to just assuming that he would have gotten like just quickness of feet and like a little bit of speed as opposed to just he turns into a squirrel. It's random. I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a good one.
I had fun watching it with you in Autumn. I liked the fact that it was something that could be watched with Autumn.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that as a whole. I've already voiced the concerns about sometimes like the harsh reality was a little too sugar-coated and that the naivety of our main characters was a little too much.
I like that though. I'll admit it's refreshing.
It suspends reality completely though. Like
it does.
Just to some extent, like it's easier to believe that somebody got a spirit animal blessing than it is to believe that they were both that clueless.
That Sophia would forgive Clarissa so easily.
Yeah.
I was saying some not nice things on that episode. Well, it's fair. It's very fair.
But what was cool, the system was very cool, and I liked the way that at the point in time when I felt like the system was falling apart, and I was like, even the soul system doesn't make any sense. I was like, unless this happens right now, and literally 5 seconds later, it happened, and I'm like, oh, wow, I'm wrong. And the characters were very likable as a whole.
Definitely.
So it was a nice, fun watch. I'm not sure if I would call it necessarily good anime, but I enjoyed it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
So once again, we dove into the world of the Gorilla God's go-to girl, and then we met our main romantic couple in Sophia and Louis, and some of the many friends they made along the way, including Isaac and Eddie. Then we explored their romance and the underlying dark theme of daybreak and a corrupt class system. We hope you had as much fun exploring the world of Gorilla God's go-to girl as we did, and consider watching this anime. So if you like what you heard today, make sure you listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you stream your podcast. Listen to all of our JMill for Real podcasts, and hit us up on social media, like, subscribe, and follow. Once again, this was Exploring Anime with Friends. Let's explore together. And now for a word from our sponsors. Bin Buster. Live from YouTube, it's Tuesday night, the call sign of the Bin Buster YouTube channel. Once you hear this, you know you're about to embark on a journey through pop culture, movies, comics, and more. Buckle up and enjoy the ride every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. EST. Poppin' Cinema with Joe Mama and friends. Showcasing the power of cinema, join Joe Mama as he introduces different friends each week to a movie they have not seen before, popping their cinematic cherry as they talk about the movie they just watched every Tuesday at midnight.